Hi, I'm Brian, and welcome to my podcast. If you're looking for something to listen to or someone to keep you company, you have come to the right place. Let's talk about anything and everything under the sun here on How to Be Brian. Hi there, listeners. This is your homeboy Brian, and welcome to How to Be Brian, the podcast. This is the reflections and musings of a young adult on a pursuit to educate and live purposefully. If you're new here, then please do not forget to subscribe. But if you're an old subscriber or follower, then welcome. We meet again. And we're now recording, so let's start this episode in three, two, one. Okay, I'm calling it the comeback episode of the podcast. So this is the first time this year that I will be recording an episode for this show right here, and it's been a long time since I actually uploaded an episode. So basically in this episode what I want to do is to connect what I have done with the podcast and the episodes that I have released last year to where I think it's going and to where I want to take this podcast to. I mean, I can't promise that I will be uploading regularly, but I hope this is the beginning of a more consistent series of uploads for this podcast. I mean, when I started this podcast a year ago, I was just looking for an avenue for me to express my thoughts and lay down my realizations, my emotions, and my insights about certain things and certain matters. And at the time, also, I was in between jobs. So I was looking for something to do. And I thought that podcasting is something very interesting. I mean, it's something that I've always been interested in, just like what my first episode is all about. It's about my love and my interest for podcasting, and I'm just so interested in this platform, so much so that it made me want to start my own show. And right after a month of starting the podcast last year, in August, I got hired and I started working again as a full time faculty member for an institution. And it basically took away much of my time. So I tried my best to record some episodes on the side and to still continue releasing and recording episodes, but it's just basically a difficult thing to do when you have a full time job. And I must admit that having this platform or this show or this podcast is something that is also energy consuming. I mean, I have to do my own research for the content that I want to put out, for the topics that I want to cover. I also have to create an outline for the things that I'm going to say. I don't really write a script for the episodes or for the shows. I just do it on the fly, but I think it's nice to have an outline, and that's something that requires effort also. It also requires effort in editing, uploading, and releasing the episodes, and of course, kind of promoting the episodes on social media. So basically, I stopped recording episodes for this show, but it was something that I constantly think about. I've been thinking of making a comeback, but I think after a few months of being inactive and leaving the podcast idle, I think it's just very random for me to upload another episode. And so this episode is meant to bridge the gap between the first few episodes of the podcast that I released last year and the next few ones that I will be releasing. So I think I have a few episodes canned. I think I recorded some episodes that I wasn't able to upload. So I'm looking forward to editing those and releasing them in the next few weeks. So again, I'm not making a promise, but hopefully, this is the start of a more consistent series of uploads for this podcast. So, I think I also have to explain the reason why I intend to revive this podcast or this specific show that I worked on and developed in the previous year. So, if you follow me on social media on Instagram, on Twitter, or if you're a Facebook friend, you probably know that I've been into content creation for the longest time. And when I say content creation, this is not the same as the influencers that you see online. My brand of content creation is always personal. I started with a blog, I think, in 2011, and I continued writing until 2018. So If you want to, you can visit my blog. It's bryanllamado.tumblr.com. I published a couple of entries this year in relation to the elections. And I just saw that the blog was a really good platform for me to express my thoughts from time to time. So there, that's my first platform when it comes to creating and publishing content. The next platform that I tried is Instagram. So with Instagram, basically, I just started to take photos, edit them, following a certain aesthetic, and curate my feed, and basically express my creativity in photos. And it's something that I haven't stopped doing. I still do content creation on Instagram. I still take a lot of photos. I still upload regularly, and it's something that I think I will continuously do. So that's another platform that I had. I also started to edit videos and create some sort of vlogs or visual diaries in 2019. Although again, I stopped doing it because it's difficult, because you have to shoot videos in the day, you have to transfer videos at night, have them edited, and then just do it continuously. So it was difficult to do that one, and I'm also not that confident enough to talk to the camera and just do it how vloggers do. I don't know if I can call myself a vlogger, but I do like editing videos sometimes, and it's something that I am also looking forward to doing, especially now that TikTok videos and Instagram reels are slowly gaining traction. So that's something that I'm looking forward to, also reels and maybe TikTok videos. And then after Instagram, I also started a Facebook page specifically for poetry. So I've been using poetry as a way to express my thoughts and emotions through the use of metaphors as well. I think that I'm not really a straightforward person, or at least I used to be a straightforward person before, but I don't know what happened. Something just changed in me, and I just found myself expressing myself and my feelings in ways that I think is not really direct, and something that cannot be easily decoded or deciphered by people. So I intended to use my Facebook page, which is Bry the Writer. That's Bry, the Writer, to express my thoughts in poetry, but I stopped doing it also because I just found out that some people stalk that page for gossip or just to be in the know of what's going on with my life. I mean, as a teenager, full of angst and full of all these big emotions, I just knew that putting them into words is something that will liberate me from what I'm experiencing at the time, but also it became a way for people to stick their noses in and try to figure out what's happening with my life, when in reality I'm not really comfortable sharing those. So again, I write for myself. That's how I consider my writing to be. Although I know that putting it out on social media and it being public makes it accessible to people who I don't want my poems or my work to be exposed to. And that's something that I had to deal with. And so I started writing poems again. This time it's on Twitter. And for each poem, I try to put the hashtag Bry the Writer. So if you want to read some poems, I'm giving you that liberty. If you want to check out the poems that I have written on Twitter, you can click the hashtag or check the hashtag Brider Writer. I mean, I haven't really written a lot on Twitter. I'm looking forward to writing more in the future. And yes, I think that's the last avenue of content creation that I got into, which is writing poetry on Facebook and eventually on Twitter. And this is the fourth platform, if I'm not mistaken, after having the blog, after making YouTube videos, after writing poetry. The podcast is my fourth baby, basically, when it comes to content creation. And I have uploaded and released 6 episodes so far. So I think this will be the seventh episode. And just like what I said, I aim for this episode to be a bridge between the first few episodes that I released last year and then the succeeding ones. So I think I have talked extensively just trying to explain how I moved from one platform of content creation to another. And I think I have also explained to you the reason for my absence. So I think I have to cut the episode on this part and I'll just do a Q&A maybe on the next part of this episode just for you to be able to keep up with me and for you to also have an idea how my year has been so far. That's it for this episode of How to Be Brian, the podcast. If you like to continue the conversation, please do not forget to subscribe and follow me on my social media accounts. I'll talk to you guys again soon. Paalam!